Hello, everybody. Good morning in Tucson, Arizona. Good afternoon in Paris. Thank you for joining us in another Beyond the Mic podcast. We'll do this one bilingual. Usually do it in Spanish, but we'll do it bilingual because we have a very special guest, Bobby Rodriguez. First of all, Bobby, thank you for taking the time to be with us. How are you? How are you doing in France?
San Francisco, doing good in France. It is. Let me see what the local time is. Uh, Not sure what time it is here. Oh, it's six. It's 6:44 p.m. right now. So winding down for
44.
the day.
Okay, 9:44 in Tucson, 11:44 in Houston. Bobby, well, thanks for taking the time to be with us. I know you're very busy, but first of all, congratulations on what you're doing in France. And I'm going to let you speak. I've known Bobby since he was maybe 7 years old, 8 years old. I've seen him grow up from far away, and Bobby has turned out to be not only a great leader in the community, but an inspirational person, a gentleman, a young man who has a lot to offer to his world. And right now, Bobby is part of the Olympics, representing Mexico as a team. Tell us what you're doing over there in Paris, Bobby.
It's good. Like I said, it's been a chaotic time here in France. Sorry, I got a lot going on here.
It's all good.
But uh, but yeah, it's good. It's a big city. It's a big culture change. Obviously, uh, very right now with all the nations representing. But all in all, it's good here.
Bobby, well, you are in France representing or being part of the team of Olympic wrestler Roman Bravo Young, who is representing Mexico. Tell me a little bit about that. How did you get to be part of his team? I know Roman went to Sunnyside. You went to Sunnyside. You were an athlete at Sunnyside. You were an athlete at U of A. How did you get to be part of his team?
So we met years back, his early times in high school at Sunnyside, and I can't really go and it's been so long ago. Like, what was the first time we met? But long story short, we just have a common core of coaches and friends that we all are around each other with Sunnyside wrestling and things like that. So that's how that came about, and we just have had a good relationship since his early days in high school. And obviously, it's more of a brotherhood friendship than a coach athlete relationship, I guess you could say.
Yesterday, there was an article on the Arizona Daily Star about you. It was a great article and talking about what you're doing in Paris. But before we go into about Roman and his chances of getting a medal, I know he's been very successful. But tell us about you a little bit. I mean, who's Bobby Rodriguez? There's so many things to you that you played baseball, you played football, you played in college, you wrestled, I think you do jiu-jitsu. You went
Yeah.
to Brazil. So in all that, how do you encapsulate who Bobby Rodriguez is? You're a
Uh,
father, you're a son.
yeah. Um, like you said in the beginning of the broadcast, we've known each other since I was about 7 years old. You're friends with my mom, and you and I spoke before the broadcast about this. But how I started was with you. As crazy as it sounds, when I was in the eighth grade, I was introduced to professional sports. Uh, However, you set that up, I'm not sure. I have to ask you and my mom. But I was the bat boy for the AAA team for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Tucson Sidewinders at the time, and I just fell in love with high level people and high level sports. I kind of got spoiled at a young age, and I was very competitive as a kid to play many sports. And when I got to Sunnyside High School, the standards were very high there too. You know, with Sunnyside wrestling and Sunnyside football at the time, the standards were very high. So it was like state championship or bust. Like that, you had to perform at a high level, or you were basically useless. And that's really what the culture was. So I had success there, and then after Sunnyside, I went on to the U of A, where I walked on for football and graduated from there. And then after football, I moved to Brazil. I graduated from the U of A. I moved to Brazil, where I lived there for about a year or so, and I competed in jiu-jitsu, and I fell in love with the sport of jiu-jitsu. And I've always loved grappling. You know, any sort of grappling and combatives. I've always gravitated to that kind of stuff. I guess it's just part of growing up in the neighborhood where you know you
Lucha libre.
yeah, it's just Mexicans like to anything, any argument, any fight, they just run towards it. You know what I mean? And I was just kind of that kid growing up, so it just made sense when I was in my early 20s to go down to Brazil and just find something new, another passion, and um, like I said, I've always loved being on the mat, and I've always liked combative sports, so that's how that happened. And when I moved back to the U.S. from Brazil, I got into training people and training athletes. And like I said, I've always liked being around high level people, high level athletes, and I just gravitated towards athletes that wanted to do better for themselves. And I've been fortunate enough to have athletes that have gone on from college to the NFL, or individuals like Roman, where high school, high level wrestling, and then to the world class level. So it's all. I'm just grateful for it at the end of the day, and it's been fun. It's a job where I have fun every day, and it's something that I can only laugh about, because I dreamt about this one day, and now I'm living the life I'm living now.
Well, that's the greatest thing. When they say when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and you turn in what you like, your passion, into your business. Because now it's a business. I see your
Yeah.
videos. I see you post the athletes. They're very happy. They go into your business, and I see a lot of pro athletes, as you just mentioned. But the main thing is when you have a business, you want to see results. If you
Hmm.
are whatever you're selling, whatever you're offering, you want to see the results. And just because I'm talking to you, but we always see results from the young kids, the athletes that you train, and I think that speaks a lot of what you come from and what you do. And we talked, like I said before, but I want you to tell me the story when you met Craig Counsell at with the Tucson Sidewinders coming up the World Series. I think as a young kid, I think you absorbed everything you saw in that professional athlete, and then you took it to the next level and just ran with it in whatever you did.
Yeah. So, like I said, I was very spoiled. That I must have been 13 years old at the time. I got spoiled at a very young age with my experiences. And like I said, you and I spoke about this story before, but for the public, when I was in the eighth grade, I was 13 years old, and Craig Counsell was coming off an injury. He had to do rehab, a few rehab games in Tucson. So I was a bat boy at the time, and he was the first one at the park every day. And obviously, I would go straight from school to the ballpark, and I was just sitting at my locker. I had my own locker as a bat boy, and he just comes, taps me on my shoulder, and says, "Hey, do you want to come warm up?" And he's coming off of a World Series win. I think he was NLDS MVP, Francisco, at
Yes,
the
he was the MVP, huh? Exactly.
yeah. So everybody knew who this guy was, and I had to act like I'd been there before, and I didn't want to look starstruck, like, oh my God, Craig Counsell, the most, one of the most glorified guys on the World Series team. So I calmly said, yeah, I'm ready to go. So he says, cool. He grabbed his stuff. I followed him. We started playing catch, and like I said, I just got this. I still have the vision in my head. I get goosebumps when I tell the story of how structured this guy was. He almost didn't look human. Like he had like an aura to him where he just he was just different from all the other ball players. He was just so structured in the way he warmed up, the way he jogged before the game, even during the game, the way he would conduct himself between innings. He was just an all-around pro, and I was just taking mental notes in my head on how this how this guy was conducting himself. And I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do in my life at 13, but I want to be like this guy. And I told you, Francisco, one day I need to sit down with Craig Counsell and let him know, like, he didn't know it at the time. I think he played 3 games in Tucson, but those 3 days changed my life.
Hey, well, let's figure out when he comes to Houston. We'll get you here to the ballpark.
Yeah,
We'll introduce you to Craig Counsell. And I
yeah,
always say that I want to be like Craig Counsell because, okay, he was the MVP and he was a big part of the World Series. But if you see Craig Counsell, he still looks young, man. He still looks
yeah,
22. He puts a cap on. Nobody knows who he is. He made a ton of money, and now as a manager, he set the bar high. I believe he's the highest paid manager in Major League Baseball. But he's a great example to follow, and I'm glad you got to meet him and practice with him. But I think the main thing here is, Bobby, that you not only warmed him up and practiced him, but you took in what he showed you, and then again, I'm going to repeat myself. You ran away with it, and you did something with it. So I guess that's a lesson for the kids. Whatever's in front of you, you take it and then you make the best out of it, because you could always see things, but if you don't do nothing with it, then was it worth it? And I think it was worth it for you.
Yeah, it's life happens very fast, as you know. Like you go from 13 to 23 in 2 years, it seems like sometimes. But
Exactly.
uh, like I said, I knew I wanted something good for my life, and some and some people don't think like that, I guess you could say. But for the public, and especially for the younger audience listening, like life happens so fast. So if you see an opportunity in front of you and it's a life changing opportunity, like do not waste time. Like take it in, write notes if you have to. Now with phone, you can record stuff. I told Francisco before the broadcast, there's no actual evidence that none of this happened back in 2002,
Okay.
because there was no smartphones. There was not even, I didn't even have a camera, like a throwaway camera. It was just, it's all in my head, and all I have is stories left. But what I did with it is like you said, I ran away with the opportunity, and I I I made the best of it, and like I said, that little moment in my life impacted me huge, and it
And
came at the perfect time at 13 years old.
yeah, 13 years old. And I remember you, Bobby, always, but you also, by your life, your surroundings, you come from a family of baseball. Right? Your uncles coached, and
Yeah,
I'm sure you have cousins and other uncles who, you came from a family of sports where I think competition was always there, whether you knew it or not. There was always competition in your family.
yeah. Come from a strong baseball background, dating back from my grandfather, my dad's side, my dad's family played. My father played. My uncles played. I even had an uncle that played pro baseball. So it was something where I loved baseball a lot. I just wasn't that good. I tell people, like I could tell you a whole bunch of stats, a whole bunch of memories of baseball and pro baseball. But I just wasn't that good of a baseball player. So
But you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. You say you probably weren't. You think you weren't, but you were, because my brother had interactions with you, and when I tell my brother, when we talk about you with my brother, he's like, man, the guy could do anything. He could have done it. He could have played any sport.
yeah, I guess you could say I didn't put in the work like my friends that went on to play at the D1 and the major league level, because when I got to Sunnyside High School, it's almost like you have to go all in on one sport, and I did that with football. So even though I played some baseball, it was kind of second fiddle. Where, as you know, baseball you gotta do it every single day if you're trying to do something big with it. So but I love baseball, and people say it's boring, whatever. But baseball is like such a metaphor for life. You know what I mean? I love it, and there's no better time in my life than playoff baseball. In the fall, I just love it. It reminds me of family because, as you know, being of Mexican descent, Latino descent, everybody gets around the TV come playoff time. There's nothing like playoff and World Series baseball. It's just gravitating.
Tell me about it. I've been
And
there.
then when you, especially if you watch it or hear in Spanish with you guys take it to another level.
We have to, man. There's a pressure on the play-by-play calls. But well, you got to come to Houston. I mean, hopefully we'll make. I think we'll make the playoffs again, and hopefully the World Series. And then, but I understand what you're saying. When I was a kid, in 1981, watching the World Series in Tucson, and then '88 with my favorite teams, and then now as I've grown up, I've got to win. I've got to call it play-by-play World Series. So it's pretty cool, and I guess. But you're right. Baseball in Sonora and Arizona, in Sinaloa, it's part of our culture, is part of our not daily. Well, you could say daily life because you're always looking at the standings and stuff. But it's a huge part of our surroundings, what baseball is. And then I coach little league at American Little League, and man, American versus Sunnyside, those games would just,
Yeah.
they look like playoff games.
You get the whole neighborhood involved. The bleachers are packed. It's a good culture, and like I said, coming from the South Side, that demographic and that South Side perimeter has produced a lot of great baseball players throughout the years. And like I said, it's something that it's just part of our culture, man. It's a great thing. And like I said, I was around major league. I tell people I was in the major leagues at 13, 14 years old, and then I got to
And I
tell my
think,
story.
and I think the way we got you there is that yeah, your mom asked if there was a way for you to work as a bad boy. So I have a few friends in the team. I'm not sure if it was Jack Donald or Mike Fader who I asked, and that if there was a spot. So they said yes right away. So that was
Yeah,
a spot
shout
for
out
you.
to those guys too, because like I said, I, I tell the story to today till today, and that impacted me forever.
Hey, tell me the story about you. Told me this about Fonzie picking you up, and you didn't even know what was going on.
All right, all right. So for the audience that doesn't know, so I'm from my cross streets are South Sixth and Champion. It's in the south side of Tucson, right in the heart of the south side, and there was a local rec center where Francisco's brother Fonzie was uh, a coordinator for youth sports there, and his brother on a Saturday morning would just come in the city van and honk, and my grandmother, she's from Mexico, she says, "Hey, alguien está pitando allí, ¿quién es?" And I look out the window, and then I could see your brother, come on, let's go, and I'm thinking. Uh, I'd run outside, like, go, where are we going? And he says, get your cleats, we got a game, and I'm like, oh shoot, I got a game. So then I'd run inside, and then my grandma would say, ¿Dónde vas? And, hey, tengo juego, I gotta go. I got a game, I gotta go. And he would just pick us up. It'd be baseball, flag football, soccer, basketball. I think we even did volleyball one time. We got smacked, but we did a volleyball game one time too. But it was that right there, that rec center was very sacred to me too, because that was a safe haven for a lot of kids after school. It was built, I believe, around 96, 97, and I was in elementary school, and you know, th- there was so many activities going there, and your brother was a big part of that. And like I said, he kept a lot of kids away from trouble. So if we got in trouble, it was with him. But it was just like timeout, 10 minutes over there, and then come back and play.
Come back. Yeah, Alfonso had a great time in that program, and he's still with the city in another department. But I think he misses the rec center. He misses the kids and everybody around it. But yeah, he says you were one of his favorite athletes, and you could do everything. He said, "No, we just go pick him up because the guy can do anything." No,
Yeah, no, it was pretty cool. Like I said, I was very competitive as a kid, so uh, we would play, we would play, we played basketball against other rec centers, flag football against other rec centers, baseball, you name it. It was just a good time, and uh, I don't know. It's just better times in my mind.
so what does it mean to you from El Pueblo Rec Center to Paris in the Olympics? Like, you know, what's that like?
You know, I'd like to see it where, because Roman is from the 29th and 6th Avenue area, so right down the street. And a lot of people say, oh, the odds say that, this is not supposed to happen. I kind of like to shift my mindset and be like, the odds say this is supposed to happen, because we are, in a way, against odds. So we have to just work harder. And I just don't like to have the mentality like, hey, this is not supposed to be happening to me. I feel, hey, I work hard. This stuff and this life is supposed to be happening to me. And Roman believes the same way too. He puts in a lot of work. He doesn't say, hey, this is not supposed to be happening to me right now. Yes, we take pride in where we're from and what we've been through, but I feel like anybody that, if you're putting in the work, no matter where you're from, yeah, you're supposed to be there. So um, but when it comes to being prideful where I'm from, man, it means the world, because I love giving people evidence, like you said earlier about business results. There's no better evidence for the next generation coming up. Like, hey, you could be from the south side. Shoot, you can be from the north side. It doesn't matter if you put in the work. Great things come. So I just at the end of the day, with my business and even with this, I just hope it fires the next generation up to be like, hey, I want to do something like that, if not better. Kind of like the Craig Council story. I at the time I really didn't know what I was going to do. I played so many sports at the time, I didn't know which direction I was going to go. But I said, hey, I want to be the Craig Council version of whatever I choose.
And you representing Mexico, man. But
Yeah,
Roman also represented the U.S. Check out the flag. Check out that shirt. You gotta put those as a merchandise and
yeah, I have to. I
um,
take pride in that. I really do because my nana, my grandmother, she was born in Mexico. She was from Cananea, and she she came to the U.S. at 16 with the American dream, and she helped my mom out a lot. My mom and my dad, they went their own ways, and my grandma, she raised her hand and say, I'll take him. I was about 3 years old, and she did a hell of a job. And being Mexican, Mexican moms, grandmas, they're not the nicest sometimes, but they get the job done.
they get the job done. And the food, I bet you.
Yeah, yeah. The food was uh, the food to this day is kind of like I'll have Mexican food. I was like, yeah, this is cool, but this is not my nana's food.
Not your nana's. And we're from the same neighborhood, man. I think your nana lived very close to where I grew up, and because I
Mhm.
grew up on Pennsylvania and Ninth, there's like 6th and 12th right there, and right by Rodeo Park. So I think you were just on the other side, so
Yep.
it wasn't that far. But now Roman also represented the U.S., but you said put in the work, and like you said, the odds say that it's not supposed to happen. But looking at Roman's record and looking at what you have done, both of you together have done great, amazing things. He with Penn State, I think he was what Big Ten champion 3 times or something like that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so you guys have put in the work, and I guess you guys, from my point of view, you mirror each other in what your jobs is. But uh, what I'm trying to say is that you're supposed to be there. Yes, you're representing Mexico, but you're in the Olympics, man. It's got to be something special.
Yeah, it means a lot. He's put a lot of work in on his own. Wrestling's an individual sport where you can't really lean on your guy to either pass you the ball or you pass the ball, things like that. It's really um, self discipline at the end of the day. It's the hardest sport in the world. I tell people just because the daily grind of practice alone, and then you put that with cutting weight and dealing with media, dealing with you know tough opponents. It's something where um, it's one of those sports that's kind of hard to explain. You really have to get into it to really understand it. But him and I's relationship, like I said, it's more like a bond of friendship, brotherhood than athlete and coach because we can just detach and just be normal. He knows what he needs to do. I know what I need to do in my field and his field. So we're able to just kind of relax and just enjoy the moment. Like we were doing camp for a week outside of Paris. Now we're in Paris, but we're in Normandy. We just kind of took some walks by the beach and just kind of giggle and say, dang, we're out here. Like this is crazy. But he's put in all the work. I don't want to seem like I'm the reason why he's here. He's put in the work. I like I tell him I'm just a fly on the wall. Whatever you need me to do, I'll help you out.
But the thing is, you told me yesterday when we are talking, it takes a village to, you know, it takes a village to have someone grow up as you did, and you're part of that village of Roman's village. Now you're part of that. You had people help you out. Now you're helping people out, and in a big way, man. And so I think that's where you fit in, and so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where you can't really make it all by yourself. You're gonna need somebody to help you in like whatever it is. Like I tell people, man, I have like this story of mine of my come up, and everyone says, man, you've done this and done that, but I'm not shy to say, yeah, I actually had a lot of help too from great people uh, that has set me up to be where I'm at today. I'm not. too shy to say that, because it does take a village and it does take a lot of helping hands to become successful. I just don't like the term self-made. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm self-made. I'm like, man, that's kind of hard to really say, because self-made is kind of like, eesh. I don't know. I just don't agree with that term.
We got some people here who are watching live. My wife Larissa watching from Rice University, and then we have some, Diana from Culiacan, Miguel Angel from Veracruz, I believe, and Martin Andrade. He's a big Yankee fan, but he's watching from where your grandmother's from. Well, you talked about the pride of representing Mexico, but both of you were born in the U.S., but you're still Mexicans, man. And some people may criticize it, but I think there's a lot of pride in who we are and on our background. And I don't know how Roman feels. You told me how you feel, but I think it's very neat that you get to walk with the Mexican flag and you're gonna be by his side when he wrestles. And what do you tell people that may criticize because okay, and you speak three languages. You speak Spanish, you speak English, and you speak Brazil
Portuguese.
Portuguese. Uh-huh. And
Yeah.
what do you tell people? Because you represent three countries.
Uh, I just, again, I'm grateful to be able to have, I say, three families. I have a family in USA, Brazil, and Mexico. And um, when it comes to Roman representing Mexico, he feels very prideful, because you have to peel the layers back to see where you come from, to see where you're going. And he has roots from Sonora, and he takes pride in that. And you could really see in the way he wrestles. He's very technical when it comes to wrestling, but that Mexicano will come out when he really needs the points. That Mexican warrior comes out, and you could really see that part in him. And that's been able to separate him from the pack throughout these years, because the Mexican spirit is fight to till the clock hits zero. You can date that back from Salvador Sanchez in boxing, Julio Cesar Chavez, and even Mexican fighters in the UFC right now. That you have Brandon Moreno, and even Mexican American uh, fighters. Like one of our friends, Dominic Cruz. World champions. Like it's just it means a lot when you have Mexican blood in you and you go into battle and combat.
Yeah, my wife says that she's becoming a fan of you guys. Her and my daughter Isabel enjoy wrestling a lot, so they'll be
It's the
following.
number one. It's the number one female growing sport in America right now, because now there's girls wrestling in high school, and the girls love it. So it's kind of cool seeing that.
How it is. What's it like being a father?
Being a father
I
obviously
don't
changed
see you
my
as a
life.
dad. I still see you as an 11-year old.
Yeah, sometimes I have to check myself. Like, man, I have three kids. My wife is pretty badass. Excuse my language, but uh, being a father is great, because again, it puts me in check. Like I have to wake up and do my best every day, because they're depending on me, and it's almost like you know going back to, like, primal days. Like, hey, I got to go hunt a buffalo or whatever, and I got to come bring it back, or else they're gonna starve and die. So I take business that same way, and in order for that to happen, I have to be the best version of myself every day. So I wake up 4:30. I do my workouts. I take a 1 hour walk every day after my workout, and just kind of watch the sunrise, and just thank God and be grateful for the small things in life, and come back home, take a shower, eat breakfast, and then my two kids, who one's about to be 3 and one is 4, I take them to a daycare, and we just talk and laugh all the way there, and then I drop them off, and then I get to my day, and then I got one baby that's 10 months, and
Oh,
he's at home with mom.
congratulations! So now, what do you tell mom? Your mom worked very hard. What do you tell her?
Uh, my mom, she did work very very hard. I kind of make fun of her. I I bust her chops a lot, because I say, "Oh, you're so nice now, as a grandma, and with us, my sister and I used to yell at us and stuff." She's like, "Oh man, I was stressed out, I was just trying to survive through life, and you guys want to make it easy on me." we have a good relationship, and she helps when she can. But yeah, I'm thankful for my mom and my parents, and like I said, both sides of my family. I love them so much. It's just it's kind of too big and too many people to thank, but especially my mom. I thank her, and especially my grandma, my nana. I get emotional talking about it because, man, we had such a tight relationship. I I ride the subway here in Paris, and I just remember riding Sunshine every day with my nana, and you know, it brings back so many memories. It's fun.
No, it is fun. It is fun. I mean, I had a great childhood too. In that neighborhood, and El Pueblo, they would take us to a program during the summer to U of A. I remember. I mean, I want to go way back. They took us to El Pueblo. They took us to this program where they would take us to U of A, and I actually was there when they were filming that movie, Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh yeah,
Way
yeah, that's way back. That's throwback.
that throwback. I don't want to say how many years ago that was, but what I'm trying to say is the same paths we walked, and so El Pueblo was a big part, and it's still a big part to a lot of kids. And right now, you were talking about wrestling with young ladies. What do you tell those young ladies who want to get into wrestling? And there's some who are kickers in football, and so what do you tell them?
I just tell them try it out. It's one of those things where you're either gonna love it or you're not. And I've been fortunate to work with really good female wrestlers. One of them, she just fell short of making the U.S. team. Her name is Audrey Jimenez. She's gonna go wrestle at Lehigh next year, Ivy League school out in Pennsylvania. But she found wrestling in the 6th grade. A lot of wrestlers start even younger than that, but she started a little later than most, so she had to play catch up. But she fell in love with the competitive one-on-one aspect of wrestling because she came from softball, where it was more team, and she was giving it her all sometimes in softball, but others wouldn't. So it was kind of disappointing at times in softball. Where in wrestling, when she came over, she was like, "Well, this is just me, and if I don't put out, it's all on me." So if you're a young lady that you want to take full ownership of what you do, wrestling is going to be the sport for you. And like I said, there's a lot of aggression in wrestling at times. So if you got some aggression, go wrestle, step on the mat.
Hey,
Or if there's a girl talking about you, tell her to join the wrestling team, and you join the wrestling team, and you guys hash it out, and then you guys will probably end up being best friends.
yeah, that's what sports do. That's what sports do exactly. And talking about best friends and wrestling and joining the team, what's with Sunnyside? How come for years and years, Sunnyside and Desert View have produced, and actually Pueblo too, high school have produced great wrestlers.
So this is my I don't have an exact answer, but this is my theory on this is the Southside schools do well, Sunnyside in particular does well because wrestling is a sport that it doesn't really involve too much equipment. Usually there's a box of wrestling shoes in the wrestling room, so if it's your first day, the coach can be like, "Hey, there's a pair of extra 8.5s or whatever. Grab a pair." Or if you can afford it, it shouldn't cost you no more than $100 to buy a pair of wrestling shoes. Whereas, baseball now, you got a bag that's about 2 grand plus. You walk in with a bag that has about maybe 3 to 2 grand, walking around on your shoulder. And basketball, does well in other cities because I feel like basketball wrestling doesn't. You just need a pair of shoes. So in my head, I think that's what makes Sunnyside so good in wrestling is that you don't need too much equipment. You know what I mean? And football, has gotten very expensive. Helmets, shoulder pads, cleats, all that stuff gets pretty pricey. So with wrestling, I just think, hey, if you got heart and you got a pair of shoes, step on the mat. And like I said, Mexicans are built for combat sports. I tell people that. Like, it's very controversial when I say that. Oh man, you can't say that. I say it's true. Like, we look at stats, NFL. Yeah, we love NFL. I love NFL. I play football, but we could probably count with two hands who is Mexican in the NFL right now. Where if we go into combat sports, we go to wrestling, MMA, boxing. We in a way kind of dominate that, Mexican and Latinos. So I think that's what makes them good. And like I said, it is what it is. It's kind of controversial to say, but Mexicans like battle, man. So, and that's what wrestling is.
That's good. Yeah, yeah. Yes, and plus we have the tradition from lucha libre way back when,
Yeah.
and that's. I mean, people might say it's not a sport. That's a sport. You have to be in really good shape to
We
perform.
Roman and I we went to they had like a send off, a farewell in Mexico City last month that we went to, and we actually went to a lucha libre show. And man, those guys are amazing. Like,
Yeah, amazing.
I yeah, it might be theatrics, but there's nothing fake about it. Like those falls and those slaps, they were pretty real to me in my head.
They are real. Well, I won't take much more of your time, but what do you say to Tucson, to the community? Tucson is a very special place. I mean, some of us leave Tucson, go back, and leave, but Tucson to Paris. What do you say to that?
Yeah, Tucson, man, it's a special place. It's a great place. A lot of people have done great things from Tucson. I know sometimes we get a bad rap, when it comes to crime and things that get on the news. But for the most part, there's so many good things coming out of Tucson right now. It's growing, and my favorite thing is there's so many good athletes and young people coming up from Tucson right now in all sports. I like opening up social media and seeing so many successful athletes coming from Tucson and Southern Arizona. We even have a team, I believe, in softball from Wilcox, not too far from Tucson in the World Series. And then obviously you have Roman, doing well, obviously representing Mexico, but also representing Tucson. And then it's just I could just see all the up and coming athletes in so many sports. So when it comes to Tucson, I love the city. Uh, I'm like you, Francisco. I moved away out of the country, but it pulls you back in, man. So I love it. I love the food. This is controversial, but Tucson Mexican food is the best Mexican food. Uh, I've even been to other parts of Mexico, and I'm like, that wasn't bad, but like I said, like I talk about my grandma's food. Tucson food is the best in my opinion.
In regards to your business, yeah, it is the best. I mean, we miss it sometimes, but those big tortillas or vaqueras from Sonora, we're always
Yeah,
craving those ones.
those are the
But,
best.
in regards to your business, um, you see a lot of success stories because I think I spoke to you before about your business. It's not just high level athletes. You take in if someone wants to lose weight, if someone wants to get in shape, if someone wants to just be part, start training in whatever sport. I think you told me of that. It's not just athletes who want to be in the pros.
Yeah, so we deal with the general population too. We have an adult side for adult fitness. We have classes. So we take the same approach that we do with athletes with the adults. So we have to we have to transform our mind, and then comes the body. So we do that, and we keep our adults accountable. Like, if you miss, we're gonna call you. Hey, where were you, Francisco? You said Tuesday, Thursday is gonna be a workout. You missed Thursday. What happened? Oh, okay. And then they'll give the reason, and then but again, same thing, just like an athlete. If we want athletes to do well, we need to get them on routines, and there's no difference in adults. Adults need routine, especially when it comes to fitness. So we like to cater to that side of the of the business when it comes to the adults. So we deal with even as young as 8 years old. Sports are so competitive now. We take athletes as young as 8 because we know, again, life goes really fast. From 8 to 12 happens like it's 6 months.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's like, wow, that went by really fast. So if we can get those young girls and boys on routines and good habits, they become better for sports. So it's all good.
And now, lastly, your nickname, probably the Jet Rodriguez. That's pretty cool. Did you get that from? Where'd you
Yeah.
get that from? Let me ask you.
So the story happened where it's my first year at Sunnyside. First and second year, I can't remember, but anyways, I had an English teacher. His name was Armando Valenzuela, and he was also the PA announcer. He would announce at the football games live. So long story short, I took an interception from one end to the field to another, and I dove into the end zone before the guy tackled me, and I jumped up, and I think I flexed my muscles. I don't think Coach Richard Sanchez was kind of happy about that, but but uh, but he says touchdown, Bobby the Jet Rodriguez, and the whole place, Sunnyside at the time, they used to get packed, sold out. And after the game, everybody's calling me Jet, 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 and at school on Monday, everyone started calling me Jet. So it just stuck with me from freshman year to obviously, it's like 20 years ago. Um, so that's how that
I
story
tell you,
happened.
well, and you're fast. You always been fast. You always been quick. So well, Bobby, thanks a lot for your time. Good luck. Enjoy it. What can I say? It's a dream come true for you guys, I bet. And just take it all in, man. It's amazing, and I'm very proud of you. Like I said, I've known you since you were 7, 8 years old. To see you there, it's just a great feeling, man. Knowing that you're from the neighborhood, from Tucson, and everyone that surrounded surrounded by you, and I think that everybody's very proud of what you've accomplished, and I think all of us are very happy that you're there.
Thank you, Francisco. And like I said, it's evidence that you could be from Tucson and do great things. You just gotta put your head down, get to work, surround yourself with good people, and just be goal oriented. I tell young people, just be goal oriented, write them down, and just stay focused. Eliminate distractions, and
And
great things
we didn't
happen.
talk much about your experience in Brazil. I know I read a little bit about when you went there, and with not with a lot of money, but you came back rich in regards to friendships, families, new language, new culture, and I think that pushed the reset button in you, where you are now able to accomplish what you have accomplished. And I think, well, that was a great experience being in Brazil.
Yeah, I needed that. Just like I needed that experience with the Tucson Sidewinders, being their bat boy, interactions with people like Craig Counsell came at the perfect time, and that was actually, it's actually 10 years apart. So I was 13 when that happened. I graduated from the U of A when I was 23, and the story goes, for those who don't know, I graduated from the U of A at 23, and I had $16 in my Wells Fargo bank account at the time, and I had met a friend who was from Brazil my freshman year of college, and he would just rave about Brazil and this and that. So I said, you know what? I'm leaving Tucson as soon as I graduate. I'm going to Brazil. My mom thought I was crazy, but you know, I, she had confidence that I was going to be okay. And like I said, I learned a new culture, a new language, and like I said, it was a life changing experience. And like I said, I came back rich with many things more than money. So money can't
Well,
buy those
Bobby,
type of things.
you're absolutely right. Well, thank you again, and congratulations to you, to your mom, to your family, and so just enjoy the heck out of it, man. And whatever, whether you guys bring us any medals or not, we'll still be very proud of you guys.
Thanks, Francisco, and Viva
Mexico, yeah,
Mexico.
you're representing Mexico. All righty. Okay, then we're gonna end this podcast here, and thanks to Bobby Rodriguez, who took the time from Paris to be with us. Thank you, Bobby, and hopefully we'll see you again, and we'll talk about it when the Olympics are done. Okay. Okay, we'll see you. See you
All
guys.
right.
Till next time.